Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One. My name is Priyanka Sharma. Here is Speed News, a roundup of the top global stories from around the world. North Korea has conducted a simulated tactical nuclear attack drill that includes 2 long-range cruise missiles. According to the state media, the drill was carried out to warn enemies that the country would be prepared in case of nuclear war. Pyongyang has again vowed to bolster military deterrence against Washington and Seoul. The 2 cruise missiles carrying mock nuclear warheads were fired towards the West Sea of the peninsula and flew 1,500 kilometers at an altitude of 150 meters. As per the local media, the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was seen visiting the Pukchung Machine Complex, which produces marine engines. Japan is facing major criticism from abroad over the release of water from crippled Fukushima nuclear plant into the sea. Now, Japanese civic group filed a complaint against Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and TEPCO president over the release. According to Chinese experts, communities which are impacted by the discharge of nuclear-contaminated water have every right to file their complaint against the government. The National Liaison Committee against the release of water accused Kishida of causing potential damage to non-residential buildings. According to the group, radioactive substances in the wastewater cannot be fully removed, even if treated, and may still be harmful to the health. Pope Francis attended an interfaith meeting with Buddhist, Jewish, Muslim, Shinto and Christian faith representatives on the 3rd day of his visit to Mongolia. The Argentine pontiff gave a speech to the gathering, highlighting the role that religions can play in forging world peace. Pope Francis listened intently as a dozen faith leaders described their relationship with heaven. The Pope is in Mongolia to meet one of the world's smallest and newest Catholic communities and highlight Mongolia's tradition of tolerance.
Per trovare la rotta del cammino. Il fatto di essere insieme nello stesso luogo.
Dozens of former political prisoners of the Chilean dictatorship met at a detention and torture center. This is where these political prisoners were held for decades to mark the 50th anniversary of the coup that began the rule of General Augusto Pinochet. Victims and their families toured the premises of what was once the largest detention camp during the civil-military dictatorship. The detention and torture center will host several events ahead of the 50th anniversary of the coup against President Salvador Allende. During the 17-year dictatorship of Pinochet, some 40,179 people were executed and disappeared or were tortured as political prisoners. Gabon's military rulers have reopened the land, sea and air borders with immediate effect. On August 30th, the military had announced the dissolution of state institutions and the closure of all international borders. The imposed curfew, however, remains in place. General Brice Oligui Nguema is set to be sworn in as the transitional president of Gabon on Monday. This comes after a military coup thrust the Central African nation into chaos, unseating the president. The ousting of President Ali Bongo happened in the capital at the heels of the recent election results. Nguema has said that his aim was to avoid elections that repeat the same mistakes. The GilgitBaltistan administration has reportedly decided to rope in the Pakistan army to ensure peace in the region and maintain law and order in the region. This because massive protests have been simmering in the region since at least a week. The administration, however, claims that the situation in GilgitBaltistan is completely peaceful and that news and speculation regarding the deployment of the Pakistan army is baseless. The region has seen continuing anger and dissent against the Pakistani government. Meanwhile, August has been the toughest month for the cash-strapped country. It witnessed the highest number of militant attacks since 2014. Influential Ukrainian oligarch Igor Kolomoisky, who backed Volodymyr Zelensky's presidential campaign, named as a suspect in a fraud and money laundering case. This comes at a time when the war-torn country is trying to crack down on corruption. The court has placed billionaire businessman under arrest for 2 months. The court has given Kolomoisky the option of posting bail of more than $13 million. At least 2 people have died and 4 others injured after a portion of a 2-story building collapsed in Bhiwandi in the Indian state of Maharashtra. According to authorities, the building was more than 45 years old. As many as 6 people who were residing in the building and were trapped under the debris of the collapsed portion were pulled out in a joint operation by the fire brigade and other rescue teams. The building, which had been standing for over 4 decades, was in a dilapidated state. While the front portion of the 2-story structure still stands, the rear portion caved in completely, trapping many under the rubble. The deputy chair of Russia's Security Council and former president Dmitry Medvedev says Japan's militarization complicates the situation in the Asia-Pacific region. Russia and Japan have complex relations. Their relationship is marked by decades of territorial dispute over a Russian-held island of Hokkaido that Moscow calls the Southern Kurils, but Japan claims as its northern territories. The dispute over the area, which the Soviet Union seized in the final days of World War II, has prevented Tokyo and Moscow from reaching a peace treaty. According to Medvedev, it is regrettable that the Japanese authorities are pursuing a course towards a new militarization of the country. Three protesters were shot dead and 14 were wounded during clashes between ethnic groups in the northern Iraqi city of Kirkuk. The dispute centers on a building in Kirkuk. It was once the headquarters for the Kurdistan Democratic Party, but has been used as an army base since 2017. The central government plans to return the building to the KDP in a show of goodwill. However, Arab opponents set up a camp outside the building last week in protest. Violence was sparked when a group of Kurdish protesters approached the camp on Saturday. Typhoon Haikui has made landfall in Taiwan. Domestic flights and ferry services to surrounding islands have been cancelled. The military has mobilized soldiers and equipment to help with flood relief and evacuation efforts. More than 3,000 people have already been evacuated. Counties and cities in the east and south have cancelled classes and declared a day off for workers. Haikui is forecast to make landfall in the mountainous and sparsely populated southeast of Taiwan after passing across southern Taiwan. The typhoon is forecast to cross the Taiwan Strait into China. US President Joe Biden visited Florida state and conducted an aerial survey of the area impacted by Hurricane Idalia on Saturday. He also received a briefing from locals and first responders in one of the worst hit towns. After surveying the devastation, Biden said no one intelligent could doubt that climate change was happening. Meanwhile, ahead of President Biden's visit, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' spokesperson said the governor had no plans to meet Biden. The spokesperson said, and I quote, "The security preparations alone that would go on in such a setting to set up such a meeting would shut down the ongoing recovery efforts." In Nevada, more than 70,000 people stuck at the Burning Man festival have been told to conserve food, water and fuel. This comes after heavy rain turned the elite festival's campsite to a mud bath. Vehicular movement on the playa has been stopped, leaving attendees stranded in the desert. Every year, the 9-day art-focused event sees celebrities and tech CEOs in private jets and luxury camps. For the ultra-wealthy burners, as they call themselves, with enough money, 9 days in a remote part of the desert can be a glamorous affair. But this year, even those who have employed private chefs can face a shortage of food as they remain stranded in the desert. Ukrainian residents took to the streets to take part in a pride parade in the northern city of Kharkiv. The war in Ukraine has not stopped Ukrainians from expressing their love. Christened Invisible Figures, the march honors those who have been forced to flee the country, those who are fighting at the front line, and those who have died in the war. A rare sight graced the residents of Erzurum in Turkey on Saturday. A meteor streaked across the night sky over the Turkish city, illuminating it briefly in an emerald glow. Onlookers were dazzled by the celestial hues. A dashcam video captured the meteor's splendor. A rescued loggerhead sea turtle has returned to the sea in Florida Keys. She received a big farewell from onlookers after she recovered from injuries sustained in a trapline. Tina the turtle, as she was dubbed by the area's turtle hospital, was rescued back in July. She was spotted with a trapline around her neck. Estimated to be about 40 years old and weighing some 90 kilograms, Tina will return to the wild with the hope of helping to repopulate the endangered loggerhead sea turtle species. SoftBank-backed chipmaker, the chipmaker arm is gearing up for its upcoming initial public offering or IPO. Reports suggest that the chipmaker is planning to ask investors to pay $47 to $51 for each share when it begins marketing its IPO next week. The price range would translate into a valuation between $50 and $54 billion and a public offering of $5 to $5.4 billion. It would also make ARM the most valuable company to list in New York since electrical car maker Rivian Automotive debuted in 2021. Sources, however, added that SoftBank could possibly raise the price range if the investor demand remains strong. The relationship between Australia and China will take another positive step forward next week when high-level government discussions are revived after a 3-year break. Australia's government announced on Saturday that the Australia-China high-level dialogue would be held in Beijing on Thursday, providing a forum for high-level representatives from business, government, academia, and other sectors to discuss topics ranging from trade and investment to regional and international security. BMW has shown the first prototype of its next portfolio of electric vehicles, marking a new milestone in the race to take on Tesla and protect sales in China, the company's most crucial market. BMW will debut its dedicated electric vehicle underpinnings in 2025 with the debut of the Vision New Class concept car at the IAA exhibition in Munich next week. This will coincide with the debut of new battery-powered cars from Mercedes-Benz. Key Porsche and Audi models have been delayed due to software problems affecting compatible designs at Volkswagen.